Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chain Out. Jeremy here. And with me, as always, is your favorite co host, Daryl DJ Dubs. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing fantastic, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm doing just swell. Way to go, getting us going again. Live episodes, always exciting. And when you
Yeah,
got Daryl behind the board, it always works out.
roll with the punches.
That's right.
Welcome to episode 26, Jeremy.
26. A
Yeah, you know
nice
what
even
26
number.
is.
Yeah, a nice even number.
You know what else 26 is?
Half a deck of cards.
It is half a deck of cards, yeah. What else has got 52? What else is 26?
All right, all right. I know where you're leading me here.
Yeah.
52 weeks in a year. We're half a year
Six
into the
months.
podcast.
6 months we've been doing this.
Can you believe it?
I know. Six
And
months, and look how far we've come, hey?
yeah, from two guys just talking to themselves on a iPhone and using Skype and not a
Yeah.
sponsor.
Yeah. 6 months how much we've increased and how much we've grown. Imagine where we're going to be like in a year.
Oh, I don't even know how we can get better, but we'll find a way.
We'd be begging for people to join us.
Yeah, at that point we will have
Please come
we've
and listen.
crested. It's 26 weeks and then down to a year and we're done.
Yeah.
So what do we got going on the show tonight, Daryl?
Well, Jeremy, I'm glad you asked. On this episode, we're going to give you as always, we're going to give you a tag update.
Yeah.
It's
Number one
changed
tags
hands.
have been on the move. Hey, so
Yeah.
we'll give everybody an update on that. Anytime that tag moves, I know everyone wants to hear about it. And then after that, we want to talk about the big B tier that we're going to be attending this weekend, spring runoff.
Yeah. After that, the reason why everybody's here. Special guest Martin Hendel will be joining us on the episode later on. I'll be
I'm
excited
so
for that.
yeah, so pumped for Martin to come on the show. And then we normally give you a Canadian pros on the Disc Golf Pro Tour update. And it's normally the same three people. It's Thomas Gilbert, it's Max Rajitnik, and it is Chantel
Chantel.
Badinsky, Miss Frisbees. But this week we have an exciting new addition to some American play, and that is Sophia Donick. And I can't wait you got to stay tuned to hear about that because she did amazing stuff down in Las Vegas this past weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, as always, if you haven't before, stick around to the end for the secret word. For those of you that don't stick around to the end, you're missing out. Stay around for that. Also, if you've got any questions for us, and if you've got any questions for Martin, I'm going to open up a Q&A on the live chat right now in YouTube. So if you want to ask a question, drop them in there. And also ask us if you've got any questions for us, you can add them in there as well.
And speaking of the live chat, who do we got in there right now? I just saw, well, actually, I'm going to say someone who we got in there. We got Brendan McKinstry of BR Disc Golf's in there. You know, he had a guess for what 26 was. He's like double Baker's dozen, of course.
Well,
So I wouldn't mind that if
obviously.
that was donuts or something. I don't know.
Obs. Yeah, same. Got the usual crowd. Martin's. Sorry, no. Martin Hendel's coming up later. He's not in there just yet.
No, not quite.
Dylan's in the chat. Mark's in the chat. John Whitehall. Hey, how are you doing, John?
Yeah, welcome everybody. And anybody who
Yeah.
hasn't dropped a comment yet, feel free to start interacting. We've got a great chat there and a lot of good people there you can chat with.
Yeah, get to know everybody.
Yeah, so let's get to it. Number one, Edgar tag update.
Give me the rundown, Jeremy. It's
I
going
was
to be
gonna-
a long one.
I know-
Let me just get comfortable.
I was going to say, Daryl, I know where your memory's at. So rather than me ask you if you remember where it was last week, why don't I just tell you?
Sean
where it
Heidebrecht,
was?
he's got it right now.
Yeah, that's right.
That was where the story left off. So
yeah, last week, Sean Heidebrecht, in our podcast story, was Sean Heidebrecht took it from Riley on his birthday.
Yeah.
What a
Boo.
guy. Hey, boo.
Yeah.
Boo earns, I think they're saying.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just excited. Got a Simpsons reference in there. So, anyways, Sean had the tag, and they went into Rundle League this past week, and he had a couple big challengers on the card. He had Mr. Riley Douglas wanting some redemption from the week before, and he also had Scott Brimacombe, another Edmonton MPO player, on the card. Now, it was a windy night, and I did get the deets from Riley, so I'm going to refer to the notes here. So he said, this is Riley. He's a really kind guy, it seems. Maybe Sean might disagree. He says it was, it was a windy night. I can't really say much to Sean about that, but he just didn't have it going on that night. He was trying, he was doing his best, but after he hit a few bands on some tap in putts and missed them, he was out of the competition early. That's kind of where Riley put it. But then Scott and Riley became the battle for who was going to get the number one tag, because Scott was draining C2 putts like you couldn't believe, but he wasn't draining enough C2 putts to take it from Riley. So Riley got the tag back.
Oh,
yeah. So Riley's sitting with the number one tag. Now, usually you would think you might be safe until you get to the next Thursday at Rundle League or someone challenges you. But not everybody is partnered up with a great FPO player like Terry Hong, good old Heiserbaum Hong there.
Yeah.
So they went out to Bailey's on Saturday for the free open house at the Sea Change Disc Golf Park at Bailey's, right? Did I get that right? We'll get it right one of these times. No. So anyways, they went
Sea Change, Bailey's, and Discourse. Just put it all in different random orders, and one of them is going to be right.
We need to get an initials one for that. SCDG blah blah BB.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyways, they went out there, and Riley he says he just wasn't having a day, but I don't think he's giving credit where credit is due, because Terry just showed up and played.
Exactly.
And she took that tag off of Riley. Nice. So Terry Hong Saturday having a free beer at Bailey's.
So first FPO, first female to take the number one tag?
Yeah, that would be right.
Probably is, right? Yeah.
It is so far.
Well done, Terry.
So Terry sitting with the tag, able to gloat while she's drinking a beer, show it over Riley. But
Perfect place to do it.
Yeah. But being partners and being the fact that they play a lot of disc golf, they went out back again to play some more disc golf on Sunday, and then Riley took the tag back from Terry.
I think at this point, Riley needs to stop. If he loses it, that's it. He's done for re-challenges. You're not allowed to re-challenge for a week.
Yeah.
Seems like if he loses it, he wins it back.
Something.
Yeah.
Hey? Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's got to be some sort of plan like that. But I have a whole bunch of thoughts on the tags that you don't necessarily agree with. So
exactly. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, we could touch on that later.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
All right. Sorry.
I value your opinion, but you're wrong.
Carry on.
How did I know? But hey, you got that one in early.
I know. I haven't used it in a while. Okay, sorry. So the update, Riley has the tag.
Riley has the tag. So tomorrow night, Thursday Rundle League. Who's going out there and challenging it?
That's the end of the update?
That's it. What?
Okay.
I
thought somebody else took it back off Riley. So no, Riley has it right now.
Yep. Maybe not after tomorrow, because again, as I always say, Daryl's going to throw out the challenge on Riley and maybe take it away, right?
Sure.
No.
Oh, Dylan just volunteered, I think. Dylan's going to challenge Riley for... Okay, he didn't volunteer, but you're throwing me under the bus, so I got to pass the buck on to somebody else. So,
cool.
Dylan, I don't think have you had a sniff at the number one tag yet?
Well, and Dylan's a guy who could take that tag for sure.
Exactly.
I watched him just kick butt all winter long in Winter League. Him and Uncle Steve always battling for the top of the charts.
There you go.
But so that's number one league tag update. Let's move on.
Moving on. Spring runoff. We've been talking about it for weeks. We've been talking about it, saying it was I think we even talked about it when we had to register for spring runoff. Then we talked about it, saying that if you didn't get in, hurry up and sign up because it was going to fill up fast. And now the event is finally upon us this weekend. Me, you, friend of the show, Mark, and at least seven other Edmontonians are all heading down to Lethbridge to play in the event. We're excited to get down there for that. It's a two-course event, Nick Sharon and Aperture, which I've never played either of those two courses. So we're looking for that. We're not looking too much for the wind, not looking forward too much for the wind, but we've had plenty of wind here in Edmonton the last few weeks, so we should be doing pretty good for that. But yeah,
Daryl, I almost think you're right, because every Thursday, what have we done in Rundle League? 4 weeks at Rundle, something like that.
4 or
so
5.
Far. Yeah, and every week it's been windy, so I guess it should be good preparation for Lethbridge.
Should be.
Fingers crossed.
Whether it will be or not, we don't know. But I'm excited to play a tournament that is 1 round per day.
Yes.
I know I haven't done as many tournaments as you or as probably as anybody else, but Battle 6 that I did last year was 2 rounds in one day and then one the second day on the Sunday. Tundra Toss, 2 rounds in one day. Alberga, 2 rounds in one day. So yeah, I'd be interested to do 1 round a day and then figure out what we're going to do for the rest of the time.
Well, and not only that is that the caddy book dropped today and you can check your scorecards. And we
Yep.
also found out, because I know the last time I did a big tournament like this, I did TCO, Tournament Capital Open, in Kamloops last year. And yeah, the nice A tier. And I remember my division started at like 7 in the morning, but we get to sleep in. We
Yeah.
probably got time to practice. We can go have brunch. We can do whatever we want before our tea times.
Yeah. It's funny, that's where your mind went. My mind went to, we get to have a beer and some bourbon on the Friday night because we don't have to get up early the next morning.
And some bluegrass if we're lucky.
Well, there you go. Depends if
We'll
that's
see.
what you're into.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
But yeah,
So-
we checked the PDJ live. We're not on the same card to start with, but we're only 2 cards apart. Mark tees off about an hour ahead of us, but yeah, I'm excited for it. It'd be an interesting experience. We're going to be down there. We'll get some footage. Maybe we'll do some Instagram lives while we're down there as well. We'll try and keep up to date on the podcast. Like I said, we got some time after the round or before the round, we have plenty of time to do stuff. Maybe we'll grab some people and we'll do some interviews.
Yeah. And I think what we want to tell everybody now is, if you're following us on Instagram and you see your phone blowing up all weekend starting Thursday or starting
That
Friday,
means
right?
Jeremy is going live on everything that he can find.
Daryl's like, do we need to go live again? And I'm like, yes, let's go live for everything. Let's let people who are listening to the show who don't get a chance to come down to Spring Runoff with us, we're going to find moments to capture and moments to share with you. We learned from our other Instagram lives that we will tell you as soon as we get on what we're doing, so that if you listen to it afterwards, you know immediately what's happening. Daryl taught me that, another tech expert tip. But yes, we've actually already reached out to the tournament director, Rebecca Johnson, and let her know that we're coming down and that we want to interview the MPO and the FPO winners if they're up for it. So on the Monday, probably in the 2:00-ish range, if you see us going live then, that's what we'll be trying to do, is trying to talk to the winners. Like Casey Hannemeyer is going to be there. Noah Higgins is there. Terry Hong's there. Kristen Swirls. So there's a lot of people that we could talk to that are possible winners.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you didn't see Jeremy's great interview with Jodie Rooney from the She's Up First event, go back, look through our Instagram. You'll be able to catch that event as well, or that interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'll say about that is, so we did those interviews there. If there's anything that you guys want to see that you've never been down to Lethbridge and you wanted to get, you've heard a lot of the island hole at Nicholas Sharon, then maybe when we're down there doing our practice round, we could do a quick Instagram live or something like that.
Yeah. We're heading down early on Friday, right? So we should be down there for lunchtime. We should be able to get at least 1 or 2 practice rounds in on the Friday. And depending on what happens after, maybe we can even get out to that hole and go live for the MPOs or the FPOs.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Live stream the whole. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll figure out some of those things there.
We got some plans.
So Daryl, am I still going to do some stalling and some talking here, or do we have a guest waiting in the lobby?
I definitely think you should keep talking, Jeremy.
All right. Well, and the other thing too we've talked about driving down to Spring Runoff is that maybe what we'll do is we'll either pick up a new course, because that's one of the things I'm excited about, is going down to Aperture and Nicholas Sharon, and then also there's another course in Lethbridge. Is
okay, you can stop talking now.
But anyways, I'll finish off with that.
Keep going.
Yeah. So the reason I like to collect courses on UDisc. I like seeing more baskets on the map. So we're going to get 3 courses for sure, and we might try to pick up Nanton or one of the other courses on the way back. But that's enough about that. Shall we move on?
Shall we move on now, Jeremy?
I think we shall.
Okay.
So let's get right to our guest. We all know it's Martin Hendel. I do have a little intro here. So this week's guest is an MPO from St. Thomas, Ontario, who has been a PDGA member since 2009. He is sponsored by Innova Discs. He recently won the Christie Lake Spring Fling and is getting ready to play the first Canadian A tier of 2024, the Foxwood Open. We're excited to bring Martin Hendel to the show.
Oh, here we go.
Hello, Martin. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Yeah, good. Thank you for being on the show.
Excellent.
Sounds like
Thank
you
you for
maybe were
having me.
able. Yeah, it sounds like maybe you were able to watch a little bit of us on YouTube there. Did you get a snapshot of what we got going on?
Yeah, I watched the intro and wasn't sure when to join. But yeah, I just clicked it, and obviously you guys seen what was going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect.
So, Martin, I was going to say when I found out when I was looking at your PDGA and I saw that you were from St. Thomas, Ontario, I grew up
Yep.
in London, Ontario. I was there till I was about 15 years old. So, like, memories started flooding back from St. Thomas. And a few of them was, as I was kind of did in the teaser there, was although it's not a very happy story, of course, the Jumbo the elephant statue and everything else, that's a memory of mine from St. Thomas as a kid. So, if people haven't know what we're talking about, go check it out on Wikipedia. There's a lot of information, I'm sure. But the other memories I have, Martin, is driving out past St. Thomas, out to Port Stanley, hanging out for a day on the beach and eating some French fries at Mackey's. And
Oh
then
yeah.
after I'm done that, mom and dad taking us home, stopping in St. Thomas on the way, halfway back to have some ice cream at Shaw's. And just that was the perfect day. That was a great summer day for me when I was growing up.
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah. And so my question to you, is that still kind of the still happening? Is Mackey still a thing out there, or what's going on?
Absolutely, they're still running strong. The same with Shaw's.
Yeah. Cool. So that's good. So now with that too, and in the St. Thomas area, we're not as familiar. I've gotten out and played St. Julian's in London, and I have played the Christie Lake Conservation Area because I've flown in and out of Hamilton when I've been visiting. But what's the vibe and what kind of courses do you have out in St. Thomas?
We have our local courses, Dalewood, Waterworks. It goes by other name, and then there's VA Barrie, which
Mhm.
is on the other side of town. It's a more open course. It's been updated a little bit with larger tee pads, and if you want to make the drive, you go to London or further. But St. Julian offers a lot too. They have a lot of versatility with their course, multiple tee pads, sometimes up to 3, and 2 or 3 pin placements, and they have different variations of layouts that they can challenge the league players, and it's a good course from I'd say pro level from longs to longs with the out of bounds lines and stuff. It would be able to host a good tournament there.
Nice.
Nice.
Mhm.
We have somebody in the chat, Mark, just shouting out, went to St. Mary's and hit up the reservoir for some solid swimming. Is that still a thing that you can do out there?
I haven't done it myself, but I wouldn't say you can't do it.
You can do whatever you want. Hey?
Exactly.
Well, I was to say the other thing about St. Julian's too, Martin, is that I think they can they've got 27 holes in their course as well, do they?
That's right. They have 18 original and then 9 added through the woods. They're not used too often. They're starting to become a little bit more mature and a bit more open. They don't get used on a normal basis. They tend to use the regular 18.
Right. Well, when I was there, I got to play 9. I had my dad with me and my son, and they're not as avid as I am, so I didn't want to submit them to the whole course. So we did the front 9, and we had a good time with that. But the other thing, which I didn't realize, was growing up in London, that course was there when I was like in the 80s. It was there when I was growing up and when I was younger, and I never knew anything about it. It wasn't until kind of after COVID, like a lot of us disc golfers, I got into it and then was going home to visit. And I said, I wonder if they have any courses. And not only has it been there forever, but I think was it the creator of one of the disc golf manufacturers was living there at one point too?
Uh, that's
Not
a
too
good
sure.
point. I mean, Discraft is pretty close by in Michigan, so I don't know. I'm not sure of the
Yeah,
history.
I'd have to look that back up. I should have been more prepared. I do a lot of notes, but that one I was kind of off the top of my head, like a back of the memory thing. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what if you are out in St. Thomas? Which is your go-to course that you play?
In the wintertime, we seem to kind of gravitate toward the shorter wooded course. When it gets nicer out, we play the more open course. They're a bit lagging on the grass cutting, so it's a bit of a jungle out there in
Yeah.
Yeah.
one course. So. But no, those two courses combined have formed my game to be good in the woods and in the
Mhm.
open.
Yeah. And I
Nice.
think Daryl will want to get to it maybe a little later, but we got to see some of that good woods playing when you were at the American Flying Discs Open. It really comes in handy.
Yes, that was exciting. I had one practice round. Um, I was I met up with a local from that area who gave me a few hints and tips. Ricky Steeler, good guy. Um, yeah, he gave me, he kind of showed me the ropes, and I was able to put up a bogey-free 9 under,
Yeah.
Hmm.
beating some really good players. A lot of the good players skipped that tournament and went off to the Worlds to practice early.
Yeah.
But I still had a handful of good players there, though.
Yeah. And it goes to show. I think it was round 2 that you were paired with Ezra Robinson, Jake Wolf, and
Matteo?
I'm blanking on the fourth.
Was it
Matt
Matteo?
Olmsted.
Matteo,
Yeah.
of course, Matteo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you say a lot of the good players, left to go practice worlds, but it wasn't a, you know, an A-list free tournament by any means.
Yeah,
You still had some
there's
great players there.
there were still a few ringers.
Yeah, and getting to see like that Matteo Anheuser putt up close and get to see some of those. We only watch it on TV, and here you are playing with them, and they're getting to see your game, and you're getting to see their game. It must be a whole different experience.
I've played with Matteo a few times over the years. Ezra Robinson, um, I think that might have been the first time we played together. He's uh, he's got an awesome throw, just a full tilt laser beam. It's fun to watch.
How is it playing? I mean, I was going to ask you this later. We're talking about it now.
Yeah.
Like Matteo, like if you just had a silhouette of somebody throwing and you had Matteo's throw, you would know that it was him because it's such a distinct throw, right? Same with
Yeah.
Jake Wolf. Like you look at him, the way that he throws is unconventional to what we normally class as throws. Like, does that affect your game in any way? Like, are you looking at
Oh,
them and watching them throw different type of shots that maybe you're not thinking about?
um, just fun to watch. To see
Yeah,
a semi-pro baseball player launching, and launching with some accuracy. I mean, I'm not. I've seen these shots done before, but to see him done with that much power and
hmm,
Jake is he's yeah he's a good player, a good competitor that has a lot of
yeah,
different style shots that you just don't see on a regular basis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess if you've got those shots in your locker and like you said, you're that accurate with them, you
Absolutely.
got to use whatever you've got in your arsenal, right?
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of some course designers will form so you're not able to use those style of shots, but he has an amazing sidearm, and I think he's got quite a few recorded aces already just
Yeah,
this season. So his sidearm is something special as well to watch.
right. Yeah.
Definitely. Daryl, you got some more questions? Before I get on to that next point, do you have anything else on American Flying Disc Open you want to hit? Because we might as well hit it while we're at it.
No, I mean we're just going to talk about the fact that you had that bogey-free round and you're on the DGN coverage there.
Yeah.
Have you obviously you've had a long playing career. Are you used to having the cameras on you? Being at that high level.
Yeah, I've gotten myself in the cameras a few times. Um, Definitely helps. We had a Canadian company called True North Productions at one point, which did a lot of video coverage, a lot of Canadian tournaments.
Right.
That helped a lot too. And yeah, and obviously being accustomed to having cameras on you, the more the better. It helps you um,
Yeah.
play with as if they're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a few people's. I think we had Colleen McInnes on when she was talking about being down there as well,
Yeah,
and just realizing like how close the cameras are. They're a lot
yeah,
closer than you think they are when you look at them on TV, right?
yeah. It's hard not to look at them like when they get at your face, you don't don't look right
Yeah.
at them, but. Yeah.
Well, and I think even with that too, Colleen was saying that was new for her. So she was like looking right in the barrel of the camera and mucking it up every time she could, always making a joke or making a face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, it was. I think it was in the first round when I noticed there was a satellite camera on me. I knew I was doing something right because they
Yeah.
wouldn't be filming unless you're doing something right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point for sure.
yeah, and then I had a highlight there, the roller of the year. I don't know if you
Mhm.
guys knew about that.
Well, we saw the roller. I didn't know it was roller of the year. Is that what it
Yeah, I
was?
didn't know that.
But it was yeah, it was one of their yeah, they had 5 nominations. I guess I was number one. Um,
Nice.
now Ezra did have an amazing roller that was on a par four, and he parked it. I thought that would have been, but I guess mine had they had the catch cam, had a drone cam coverage, and yeah, um,
Perfect.
I could bring it up on my phone, but I don't know how that would look.
Oh, well,
Well,
where is it available? Is it on YouTube?
It'd be, I think it'd be on Disc Golf Pro Tour rolls or highlights or streams or something. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but
well, what we
I'm
can
not
do
sure.
too, Martin, is we're pretty
Leave
good
it.
once we've wrapped it up. We can always put a link in there unless Daryl finds it during the show. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's awesome. So it's just another feather to put in your cap with the longest roller of the year
Not the longest roller.
or best roller of the year.
It
Sorry.
was a 460-foot hole, and I put it in the bullseye. Kind of a low ceiling shot, and I think it was right after I took an unfortunate double bogey.
Mhm.
But I just turned around to the spectators of the gallery there, and I said, "Oh, look, I think I got the angle right that time." And the one gallery guy says, "Well, good timing to get the angle right, you know." And we got up there, and it was good. I needed to gain some strokes back, and I think I gained two on Matt Oram and one on Ezra on that hole specifically.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Martin, I don't know if you've seen many of our shows, but we do like to find out how you got into disc golf, especially when we have a guest on for the very first time. But me just
Yep.
saying, how did you get into disc golf? It's kind of boring. So I want to do two things. I want to give you time to think, and I usually take a movie that I know and see if I can link it to maybe what your origin story is like. I'm never near it. I'm nowhere near, but we'll try anyways. So I've written it up. Here it goes for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. So maybe you got into disc golf when you were young. You felt pretty good, maybe even a little cocky about your skills. You decided to go to Ontario's top disc golf academy. Your confidence made you a bit of a maverick on the course, always trying new and exciting lines with high risk, high reward opportunities. When you met your disc golf instructor, Sandy, you were instantly in love. One memorable moment from those days was your slow mo shirtless round of beers beyond the beach. When the academy ended, you and Sandy rode your chopper on the highway
Highway
to
to the
the danger
danger
zone
zone.
or to the next disc golf tournament, at least. Maybe that's not quite how you got into disc golf, but why don't you let us know your origin story?
Okay. Wasn't it? It doesn't not exciting as that, but when I was in my early teens, I used to dabble a little bit with a few close friends. Wasn't until about the age of 19 where I actually started to take it serious and play consistently and practice consistently. And I used the Can-Am Series Final as my kind of my proving grounds as I got better. And I think I was my first tournament ever. I was 12th out of 52 amateurs. And then the next year after that, I was fourth. And then the year after that, I won it
Hmm.
in the Can-Am, which was in Pinafore Park, which is a temp course that they would put up, and used to bring in some big players. So once I won it in amateur, I moved to advanced, and I won it, and then I moved to pro, and I nearly won it. I came to a playoff and I lost, but I stuck in pro in the Canadian events and that in around an area, and then I started to expand my tournaments to the states, upper states, like New York, Michigan, and yeah, and then it went on from there, slowly, improving, and um, I guess I've never been lower than a 982 rated player, and
Wow.
yeah,
So it didn't take you long to turn pro then.
yeah, like especially local,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to say like a it's been a nice journey, fun, and yeah, I still love to play. Still have a passion for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you were first starting out there, were you a frisbee player, an ultimate player, or anything like that, or did you just drive by a course and see some baskets, or what was it that got you that first time on the course?
I used to, well, having a little bit of experience, in early teens playing. I first got into it when I think I'd say like I was one of those river rats. I had the waders on. I was going through the river,
Hmm.
finding discs and pulling them out, trying
Nice.
them, and I think that's when I got to try different discs, different companies, and then over the years, I seem to accumulate more Innova discs and product. So when it came to when it came to start noticing I was playing better, like 2015, I think it was my first time, breaking the top 20 list in a major. I was in Pittsburgh. I think it was 17th place, I think.
Hmm.
Um, I knew I was gonna have a better chance of getting a sponsor. And Prodigy asked me first, but I held off a bit, and Innova gave me the email shortly, early like 2016 January, and
Okay.
of
Nice.
course I took it because most of my product and most of the equipment I have was Innova, and yeah, that was a good day
Yeah.
getting on there. And I moved up the ranks pretty quick. Within 3-4 years, I was on team champion and had my own disc,
Wow.
which was a champion glow wraith, color glow wraith, and yeah, now I heard these things are going for like 80 euros,
Oh,
Wow.
and yeah, like up to as much as that, like no, it was a
You,
good
you
disc. It was a good disc choice. I think I made a, but yeah, that was, and then the pandemic hit, and I had to get because of travel restrictions, I had to get I was kind of de-promoted, to
hmm.
a step back, and I said I understand because of the travel restrictions.
hmm
I'll prove myself when the time comes, and then 2021, I was on the lead card at United States Disc Golf Championship. That was kind of a surprise, but I have always that always courses have always treated me well, and I played with Johnny McRae in the first round. He beat me by one stroke. I think he shot a 6, and I shot a 5. And
Wow.
the next round, I came out with I played with Ricky
Yeah.
Wasaki, and he shot I think it was I think he shot a 9 under, and I shot an 8 or something like that, or he shot 10, I shot 9. I think I don't know. We were playing pretty close to the same score, and then we got to play again the next day. And unfortunately, it was a rainy day, but I
Hmm.
was still able to come up with a 4 under and maintain lead card position, 4 strokes away from the lead going into round 4. And speaking of cameras, that was live cameras,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was an experience. I got to play with Paul Macbeth there, and
Wow.
Wow.
he 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 made that amazing putt on 17 when there was a little bit of a score discrepancy and also kind of a Wi-Fi outage.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe it was the amount of people that were. I don't know what was going on, but I got to witness that firsthand.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And yeah, no, that was amazing. And to say I proved myself and then to be able to do that, it got me a little upgrade in my
Yeah.
sponsorship.
That's
Oh,
awesome. You were mentioning about the glow wraiths. Do you still have any?
I do. I do. I
Yeah.
kept the fancy looking ones, the ones because they came in pink and blue, and I picked color glow wraith because the wraith is it's a high selling disc,
Yeah.
and the color glow champion plastic gives it stability. So I wanted something that would be that wraith like flight with a little bit of stability that maybe someone could use a sidearm for or a
hmm.
power backhand and get um, a nice true steady flight.
Yeah.
And
At the first event that we had of the year, we had a tundra toss. We had a disc swap, and
Nice.
we were going through the discs and things like that, and I seen this wraith, and I have a star wraith, and
Yeah.
somebody said that it was so old that it was so beat in that it was super flippy, which I
Yeah.
figured for my arm speed that was going to be perfect. And it's a
Yep.
lightweight disc, and I got to admit, as a disc swap disc, it hasn't left my bag yet. Yeah.
Nice.
Colleen McInnes in the chat says that she still has a glow wraith and it's hanging on the wall. So you're still
Is it
being repped in
nice?
Canada.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. I know Colleen. She throws. She throws. I think she's a. I thought she does mixed discs. So I'm glad to hear that she's packing one of mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure she's throwing it. It's hanging proudly on the wall, so it's on
That's
display.
all right.
In her words exactly, she says those glow wraiths were mint. And
They
so,
were. Yeah, I knew it was a cha-ching moment when I was in Vegas and I gave one to Thomas Gilbert to throw sidearm on hole one, which is around 400. I think it's 395 or 410, and the disc never flipped over. He threw it perfectly flat, and I knew that was like this is going to be a good seller.
Yeah.
Plus the artwork was fantastic.
yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And being with Innova for as long as you have now, one of the things that we've known is that we talked to some of the different pros and such, and they're on smaller teams or smaller companies, but Innova is a really big one. What's it like being on such a big team? Do you get a chance to meet a lot of the players, or does it seem like every time you go to a tournament, you're meeting someone new?
Um, I mean, yeah, they're always bringing in new players, and but no, it's nice to see. That's why I love playing this game. Seeing familiar faces, challenge yourself on new courses. And or maybe even on courses that you've already played on. But yeah, there's always new players that I haven't met too. I mean, a lot of European players that come down for some of the majors,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, they're a company that reaches out to a lot of players and sponsor a lot of people. So it's been amazing to have their support over the years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, Martin, do you when we knew you had Innova as a sponsor, do you have any other sponsors that you're working with as well?
They've been my prime sponsor, but I had a little bit of help with Diameter. They
Yeah.
gave me some clothes, um, but primarily, I mean, my original sponsor was a local sponsor. He's not running stuff anymore, but it was called Disc Functional, and yeah, he ran his own little company in St. Thomas, and we played in the backyard. We do putting shoes. You'd have the putting shoes, which is basically a game to 21. It's basically like horseshoes except with discs. It was great for putting and early in the season practice, and a lot of heckling, a lot of drinking, but good times. Um, and then I got Daredevil just the year before Innova.
Okay.
Daredevil is a Canadian company.
Hmm.
I think more known for their Ultimate discs,
Right.
but they were my first kind of sponsor that helped me out before Innova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a
I,
bag sponsor? Are you with any particular bag?
No, but
No.
I recently got myself a cross lap off a player from over in I think it was Brantford.
Okay.
Who yeah, just a cross lap, which is I think it's made in Denmark or Germany, but it's kind of like a ridge roller, but yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I used to be just a bag carrier, but eventually I kind of lean towards the cart.
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking to a couple of MA40s, you're preaching to the choir, Martin. It's just a matter of time before we take that step and break out the money of the bank and purchase a Zuka cart or whichever. We're not sponsored by anybody, just in case anybody's listening. If you want to, if Zuka wants to send us a free cart, we're open to that. We're not gonna say no.
I was
Well,
using the Zuka cart that my sister won for the Global Women's event. She
Okay.
won
Yeah.
that a year. She would include into a list of a lot of good players. Um, yeah, she gave me that. It was a trophy. I just tucked away the flap that said Women's Global there. That way, I don't get made fun of.
Well, I know when you're talking about Zuka carts there, we were, I think it was episode 1, we were talking about them, and then you see Big Germs cart and you see all of those. But I think once we get to, I'm going to be playing Nationals this year, and I'm going to need a solution, I think, when I get out to Clearwater, because apparently that ski hill is a lot of up and down. And I don't know if the cart will do it or what's going to, maybe it's 7 discs and that's all I pack, something like that. But speaking of tournaments, there, Martin, you just got your first win of the year at the Christie Lake Spring Fling. And I wanted to touch on that a bit, being that I've been out there and played that course and know how awesome it is. I just wanted to maybe touch on your first year, just initial thoughts and how you felt about your play and how you felt about the tournament and just how it went overall.
I was just excited to play. I had to cancel my first couple events because of a bit of a weak ankle that kind of got inflamed, but it healed up enough to play, and I was excited to play. And I think that really the first hole. I was a little bit revved up. I threw about 45 feet past the 300-foot basket. But aside from that, I calmed down after the first hole, and 6 birdies in a row on like they had an additional temp 9 on top of the 18, so there's 27 holes.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out with a 10 under, and I was looking at the scores after, and I thought, okay, I'll probably be on lead card, trailing by a couple off of Cam and Thomas. I knew I had a solid round, but I knew it wasn't. I didn't think it was going to be the best. It turned out those 27 holes, people were dragging their butts a little bit and leaving some strokes out there. So I got lucky to stay on top, leading by a stroke, and then the next 9, I had a new player that I've never seen before who could throw like you wouldn't believe. He had like Thomas Gilbert distance.
Oh,
and
What was his name?
yeah, give me 1 second. It slipped my mind. I'll have to look at the list.
We can do some research because I've got it
yeah.
here.
Yeah, I believe he came up with a 9 under, and then yeah.
In round 2.
Yeah, he was on my card at round 2. He was 1 stroke away from me. He shot a 9 under.
Eric Weeb? No.
Nope. Unfortunately, he was late for the second round. He took
Okay. Oh, did you take a penalty being late?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
They're being very sticky with those this year as well. It seems to be, it's like, you know what your tee time is, and you got to be there. Is it 5 minutes before?
That's in the Pro Tour, I believe. I'm not sure if
Cameron Veltman.
That's him. Yeah.
Yeah, Cameron.
I think he's going to be someone you might see in the future.
Okay.
Okay, good to know.
So yeah, but go ahead and continue. So he could throw like you wouldn't believe, and then but
yeah, he's got power. He's putting a lot of time into it, and he practices a lot on the soccer field. Where he's from, I don't think there is a course nearby, so it's all just straight practice on a soccer field.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm guessing. But yeah, it was it was a good feeling to play as good as I did. I still made some errors, but the errors were minimal. I was putting very well in the circle, but still had, like I said, still had a few errors. I didn't make any putts from circle 2, partly because I was putting everything within circle 1, which is good. I mean, most of the shots, I didn't have a lot of circle 2 putts, so my driving was doing extremely well, and the putting was pretty strong. And that's right there a combination to keep yourself near the top or at the top.
Definitely.
It's
That's a lot of
plan to put yourself in a position where you don't need to make those long putts for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And normally I'm it's either one or the other. I'm either like 4 to 5 in circle 2 or it's like nothing.
hot or cold, hey?
Yeah.
Well, you'd mentioned it there about the 27 holes. So that's one of those things where normally you'd go into a 3-round tournament and you might play, if it's a shorter, just weekend tournament, you'll play 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. But to go and play 1 full round of 27 holes, that does almost feel like a disc golf marathon. And does it feel longer? Do you feel like you're lagging as you get towards the end, or?
Well, in years past, we used to do a lot of like 2 rounds of 18. So you get that break in between, kick your legs up, have lunch, relax, go out play another 18. You don't see that a lot in the States. Actually, well, that's not true. Um, B tiers and stuff like that, you might see one day with a couple rounds in it. Usually
Mhm.
it's maybe 2 rounds on one day, and then Sunday have 1 round of 18.
Hmm.
So I knew going into that round, taking a seat, get the weight off your legs every once in a while helps to the legs, recoup. And there's usually time for that when there's weights at the hole. So,
Hmm.
it's up to the person to take advantage of that. Get some, get your legs feeling fresh with a little break. I don't think sitting for too long is good. You might stiffen you up, but yeah, there's
No,
little
Yeah.
tricks that you can do to keep your legs fresh.
for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned a couple of their names there already, but you mentioned your Calvin Rorda, Cam Zanini, Callan Shat,
Yep.
the new player there. He's really good. Jake Voskamp,
Awesome.
Thomas Gilbert. You mentioned also. How did it
Yep.
feel to get your first win of the season against some of those top Canadian pros?
Um, Kind of reminiscent of last year. I started with
Yeah.
2 wins, but they were both playoff wins. So one was with Kalen Shat, and the other one with Chris Oslin.
Okay.
Um, Oslin probably would have been at the top, but unfortunately he had a bad hole. Took an 8 on a hole where it could very easily happen to anybody.
Mm.
It was 18 if you remember, Christie. It
Yes.
has a narrow and then a dog leg right at the end. So
Yes.
if you're off and you kick a tree, and it comes down to if you want to try to progress farther up, but it can end up being a nightmare. But if you just make that shot, you can avoid the nightmare. Just make a 275-foot shot down the tunnel, and hopefully make a nice up shot to make it an easy 3.
Yeah. Well, Daryl,
It's
just
such a
remember
difference.
that
Yeah.
remember that this weekend. Just a nice, easy 275 foot shot straight up the middle.
Straight up the tunnel. That's all we got to do, Jeremy. It's easy. Avoid the eights that way.
No, you know what? I do remember that hole, Martin. And what happened was, I was playing by myself, and I threw my first one out and was in the trees on the right. And then I
Yep.
threw my second one out, more similar to what you said, not the distance, but just straight and in
Yep.
the fairway. And my
Yep.
player two, it got the
Yep.
par. My player one, it was the 8 strokes that you're talking about. Because once you're
Yeah.
in those woods, as you said,
Yeah.
it's like, do I pitch right out because you really want to go forward? But yeah, it's a difficult hole. So I could see that happening quite easily, especially to somebody who's never played the course before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I've been there before. I don't think I've taken an 8, but I think I've taken a 5, 6, and maybe a hockey stick too. I'm not even sure.
There you go. Well, and you mentioned it there too. So how does it feel being back to back winners at the Christie Lake Spring Fling as well? Like that's like we're talking about feathers in your cap here with the best
Yeah.
roller and then back to back wins at one of the first big tournaments for you guys out there of the year. So
Hmm. No, it feels awesome to be on the ball, I guess, somewhat, and to be able to get a win and still see where you need to make work. It's a double bonus.
mhm. and
Absolutely.
it and Martin, it was almost a family affair, I think, too, with Sandy taking second on the FPO side. Am I right?
Yeah, she was hunting down that win, and yeah, it's Christie Lake is, it can do that to you. It's got it's got some trouble if you get off course.
Yeah, and of course I didn't get to see any coverage, but I was just looking at the scorecards in that and just seeing that she was 6 strokes back after round one, but her second round was pretty steady and she was catching right up to Alexandra there, and it was
Yeah,
like, yeah, it looked like it would have been an exciting win in there or exciting second, but it was a close race to the end.
yeah. Um, it's those anxiety nerves, and
Mm,
yeah, sometimes I've been playing a little bit longer than Sandy, so I think I was able to get over those just after hole one. Where Sandy, it was she carried it through for a little bit longer, but I think her next tournament she'll be a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all that experience. When you go through it, it's going to make you better.
Yeah, yeah, managing the mental game and calming the nerves and keeping a cool head.
Definitely. Well, and that leads us into the next tournament that you're going to be competing, which is coming up this weekend right away, which is the Foxwood Open, and that's the first Canadian A tier of the year. Are you hoping? You've played Foxwood before. Both Daryl and I. You were talking about True North doing coverage. Well, we've got Parked Pro now, and there was some coverage from you last year on the first card. So, are you hoping to use the momentum from Christie Lake to just take back Foxwood and maybe play a little stronger than last year?
Oh, absolutely. Last year, I think my second and third round was strong. My first round was I got dented by one or two holes, and it dragged me down. But I think with the mindset I have now, and having a weak winner in this area gave me a lot of off season practice. So I think I'm just a little bit more controlled and ready for this year.
Yeah. No, that's awesome to hear on that. Now, I know when we did watch Foxwood, yeah, you're right. Like you had a great second round, a great third round. That first round was going really well. And then Daryl and
Yeah,
I both, we were feeling for you that whole nine
yeah,
with all
yeah.
that OB. It was like, come on, what kind of hole is that?
It was. Yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. When I went and practiced that, I realized they made it a little bit trickier by moving back the drop zone,
Hmm.
and the winds, if I remember correctly, were pretty strong that first round.
Yes.
And having a sidearm makes that hole, uh, not much of a difficulty for. And I remember most guys with sidearms would eat that hole for breakfast. For a
Right.
backhand player, you have to make the right adjustment with the proper stability of a disc. And me being predominantly backhand, I'm usually pretty good. But I think that early in the season, with those wins I had, just kind of uh, threw me off. I wasn't as confident that early in the season at that moment with those kind of conditions.
Yeah. Well, you're mentioning about the OB there. Like Jeremy said, when we were watching the coverage on Park Pro, they were talking about, nearly every hole. They were talking about the changes they made from the previous year, and they were saying, "Oh, okay, we added OB line to the back of the green on this one to bring it forward."
Yeah.
Pretty much on anywhere you look on the coverage, there was white flags over the whole course. What are your feelings on artificial or forced OB? I mean, obviously we know that OB plays a part for some restrictions, especially on a golf course or for safety. But it seemed like they even mentioned it themselves, like they had to keep making the course tougher. What are your thoughts
I know.
on artificial OB?
The more OB, the better for me. It usually drives up the ratings. It
Okay,
drives up mistakes from amateur players and regular pros too.
right.
And it favors a more accurate player, someone that has good disc and angle control. And yeah, I think usually the
Interesting.
more the better. For
Well, I got
and
to admit that
in
wasn't the
my
answer that
opinion.
I thought I was going to get, Jeremy.
Well, you knew what your answer was, Daryl. You didn't know what Martin's answer was going
No,
to be.
exactly. And I guess that
Yeah,
that's
I'm sorry. That answers and yeah, I know it's. I do
no,
like
it's
I do like holes that have natural OB or not natural OB, but like OB or sorry rough. Like when you throw in the rough,
yeah,
you got to work your way out of it. I mean, in some cases, if it's dangerous or too you know you know if it's too thick, then it's understandable.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, we've said it before. We've spoken to other pros, and their mindset is obviously totally different to mine and Jeremy's mindset. Whereas we think that OB, why does it have to be there? Why couldn't they just push that back a little bit? Like this is the natural place where I'm going to land. But obviously, from your point of view, yeah, you want it to make it harder to separate. To make to really not necessarily to punish the bad players, but to reward the good players, right? If you got
Yeah.
that accuracy and you can play those shots,
Yep.
then put the OB wherever they want. It doesn't matter if you're going to hit the green
Yeah.
or the fairway.
In that moment, it worked against me that time, but
Hmm.
Yeah,
you know,
And then
that was
how
just one
does
hole.
Yeah. So we've actually talked about two great courses in Ontario, Christie Lake and then Foxwood. Does Foxwood, and I know and we'll get to it when we talk about Diameter Open, is Haute Côte as well. Are those kind of like three of the main premier courses that you guys will play in the area, or?
Um, I haven't played the one that you just mentioned. I
Hmm.
plan on. I think is it fairly new? I think it is.
Yeah, I think it might be. I want to say that's where Diameter Open's being held, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yep. I haven't played there myself. I don't think.
Hmm.
I
But
plan on
then,
practicing there soon.
yeah, for sure. Now with Foxwood, then with speaking of practice and with that, and you've played it, a few times, number of times now. Are you going to head out there and do some practice, or do you feel pretty comfortable? You can just practice around your local courses, or?
I went out there yesterday,
Mhm.
and but they won't be making the changes till late afternoon Thursday. So Friday it should be all set up, so everybody has practice. And I know that some of the tee pads will be extended and pushed back, so they won't be they. I think they put up a few temporary tee pads. So, but if you go there and play now, it would probably be 80% the same. I think they're
Right.
going to make some changes to maybe 6 or 7 holes at the most. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. And then
Mix
with
them out of
last year,
bounds.
yeah, with last
Sorry.
year we had Casey Hannemeyer come out from out west, and he played in the tournament with you guys. But this year he's not going to be out there. But I know Thomas is out. There's a number of great players coming out. I don't know if he's actually going or not, but we saw Greg Barsby's name is on the list as well.
Yeah, he was in. I think he just played in the Copenhagen tournament. I
Yeah.
Hmm.
think, or I think he was in Denmark or something like that. He was supposed to show, but my guess is maybe he's staying there for an extra week. I don't know. He must have.
Forgot he
I don't
registered, or?
know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but he's got another great sidearm. Speaking of good sidearmers,
Yeah,
and Barsby is obviously a veteran in the game and awesome to play with. He brings a ton of energy, and you know, spectators love him.
for sure.
Yeah, I don't think if you're on his card, you're never going to have a sad round. It's hard
Yeah,
to be
no,
negative with that guy. He's always like a
he
bundle
keeps
of
the energy levels
positivity.
up for
Yeah.
sure.
Good stuff. Well, one of the things too, Martin, that Daryl and I are doing with the podcast, we were focusing on Canadian, and what we wanted to do this year was to also bring even more attention to Canadian disc golfers by doing a bit of a fantasy picks thing. So we know there's the ones that are for the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but we didn't care about that. So what we did was we said we were going to focus on the 9 A tiers in Canada, starting with Foxwood Open. And with
There's
that, we're
90.
going to do some.
Well, okay, that's including the West Coast.
Yes, it's going to be
But
all of them. So that's going to hopefully we're going to pick players each event. So whoever's registered in that event, that's who we're going to get to pick from.
yep.
So we're hoping that gives our listeners a chance to get to know the Martin Hendels and know these people that are not always on the pro tour. You're not seeing them in the coverage there, but they're the big names in Canada. So
Mhm.
after I pick you for Foxwood Open as my first pick, who's Daryl going to
Thank you.
pick? Yeah.
I don't know.
You got anybody in there that you think is a sleeper for him? He's always trying to find somebody who he thinks would be a great second place after you take first.
You want me to pick?
Well, yeah, we were
Yeah.
just wondering, do you have any tips
Yeah.
or on players or anybody that you
Do you have
think
any
that
recommendations of
after
some
you, of
new players
course?
that you've seen on the tour last year? Maybe up and comers.
Up and comers. Well, you can't discount. I mean, we have a lot of good up and comers. So, I mean, Thomas Gilbert is someone to watch out for. You got um, Cam Zanini.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's Joe Vanderbeem.
Yeah,
Um, all these guys they're hungry. They're coming up. Um, Jake.
Voskamp.
Voskamp.
Yep. Um, yeah, we've got some young guys. Ezra. Uh, Ezra Lockington.
Yeah.
He's just a junior sponsor with Discmania.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay,
he's someone that he's working on his game hard, and he's gonna climb his way to the top ranks. But um, I'm obviously I'll probably I played with Thomas Gilbert last year in a ball golf course, and I was able to edge him out. So I'm hoping that you know I can continue that going into this
Yeah.
tournament. But
Well,
It
you've
all
already
depends on.
mentioned his name, and he's registered for Foxwood, so maybe I might just be Cameron Veltman. Maybe he might be my pick, Jeremy.
Oh, there you go.
Well, yeah, I know. If he he was. That was surprising to see him on lead card. That's all. I've never met him before till played at Christie Lake, and
Yeah,
he's
this year
obviously
might be his
plugging in a
year.
lot. He's plugging in a lot of time, and he's becoming a good player. So
Yeah,
there's a
it's going to
chance.
be an exciting it's going to be an exciting tournament for sure. It's too bad I don't know if anyone else is covering it. I know Park Pro's not going to be out there for this one. But so I would say anybody out in the Ontario area, get out there and watch a round, at least watch the final round because it's going to be exciting golf, disc golf, that's for sure.
And I forgot to mention Clayton Morgan too. He's
Oh,
he's a hell of a player too.
where's my
He
pen?
he defended VA Barry when we had the flats there the one year. Matt Bell came down. You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
He's a good player. Clayton was able to edge him out
Yeah,
at our home course. So Clayton, he's got game. I don't know how much he's been practicing, but I don't like to overlook any players. Honestly, I just focus on my own game, and
yeah.
I know I have what it takes. It's just about making less mistakes and keeping a good momentum going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Daryl and I have noticed that too is one of those things. Daryl had it recently at one of his best rounds when he was out on the course. And it's like, we all know what we can do on the course. It's just trying to string it all together and pull it into one round. And if you can, then you got a good chance at competing and winning. But if it was easy, we'd all be doing it, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's all about keeping your head in the game. Self talk is important. Keeping yourself in a positive mind state. Don't let yourself drag out. If you make a mistake, try to fix it on the go without dragging it too far ahead of you. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
I mean,
had
obviously,
Colleen on the podcast a few episodes ago, and she mentioned, and it was something that me and Jeremy do, is the courses that we play regularly. We always have that one hole that when we come up to it, we know it's our nemesis hole. We always talk that way. Like, but she mentioned about saying, no, don't have a nemesis hole. It's just that you played badly on it one time. The next
yep,
time you're going to play on it is going to be the best hole on the course for you. So, and then
yep.
just like you said there about having that positive mindset, talking yourself up, keep it in that positive frame of mood. So just goes to show, Jeremy, that we don't have that mindset to be a professional.
Not
No,
yet.
no.
It'll
Not yet.
come.
Colleen's right. All you gotta do is you step up to that hole and just visualize the shot as if the hole wasn't there, and just honestly try to recreate a shot that you can do. Put it in a spot where it gives you a chance for a putt if there's danger on that hole. But yeah, it's and it happens even to the best. Previous nightmare holes that
Hmm.
creep into your mindset as you step up the next year or the next round or whenever it is. These kind of thoughts happen, and sometimes you got to
Yeah.
step back or yeah, try not to
I
recreate
guess.
you know those things.
Yeah. I guess a good example is hole 9 at Foxwood. The first round there, it didn't go your way. How did you approach that the second round? Was that first round even in your mind? Were you even thinking back to it, or
Um,
you didn't even go back to that area?
well, maybe I just pictured myself saying, "Oh, I saved myself 4 strokes this time by birdieing it." I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's it. You
Obviously,
came back on a birdie the next day, and that's the impressive part because, for
yeah,
Daryl and I, as we said, is when we talk about these nemesis holes, we hit it with a 6 the first time, and the next day we come back and we hit it with a 5. We don't come back and hit it with a birdie the very next day. So there's definitely something you've got going on there that's working.
hmm yeah. Something I wish I did when I was in my earlier years is learn a sidearm, and I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, and it's my own little project, and I work on it, and I've always had a utility one, within short distances to help me get out of trouble,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just I don't know. I think in a lot of St. Thomas players, had the old school traditional backhand throw. We have a lot of history here, and the discs as they developed, you know, people stuck to their old roots and through backhand, right? Where it's there is a positive to throwing just backhands, and that's that you can develop that skill to a slightly higher level than most people would if they were to split that effort into multiple different styles of shots. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, look at someone like Jake Wolf. I mean, he can throw a thumber, a tomahawk, a sidearm. I don't think I've ever seen him throw a backhand once, but
No,
obviously
it's
he can putt.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
versatility is a great thing to have if you can throw over objects, or you know. For
Yeah.
me, I guess rolling was my method of getting from left to right, but it doesn't always work out so well.
yeah. It's not an exact science, the rolling part of it, hey?
Yeah, you just don't know where it's going to end up. It has to have a backstop or a good game plan. And
Hmm.
rolling is something um, we have a good player named Jeff Malton who gave me a few lessons back in the day, and and he also helped me with my mental game too, how to where to set your head at, and how to get yourself prepared for a tournament and
Right.
not worry about anybody else.
And what would you say while we're on that? What's a good tip, say, for Daryl and I as amateurs going into our first big tournament this weekend? What's something that you could tell us that might help us with our mental game for the weekend?
Okay, well, I guess to see a realistic score of what you should shoot, and um, yeah, try to see yourself shooting that 3 consecutive rounds. There's always going to be a different story to each round, but sometimes where you get a birdie here, you might not get a birdie in the next one. But there should be, I think work into a more consistent pattern and stay within those numbers. I mean, obviously we want to all shoot great, but
Yeah.
you got to be realistic about what you can achieve with the weather and the conditions. And I don't know.
Mm.
It's hard to say, right? I mean, you just
Everybody's
got to try
different,
to
right?
push everything else out of the way and do your work.
Yeah. And
Mm.
that's it. I think, that's a good couple tips there, Daryl. Within, I think Daryl and I have tried that once before where we said, who cares about the par of the course? What's our score on the course? What are we getting? And play to that. Don't worry if it's a par three. If that's a 4 for us, then 3
Yeah.
is a bonus, and just play to the score that we can get. So I like that tip.
Yep.
Definitely. Like that's a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. So now,
Yeah. Go,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, I was going to say a few other things that I've noticed that I've done as an amateur, or I notice other amateurs, is working too hard the day before an
Mm.
event, putting
Right.
in too much practice time. Though 2 rounds is way too much. 1 round should be more than enough. Um, you want your body to be fresh. When you're physically feeling fresh, you're mentally going to be a bit more fresher as well. Some people
Yeah.
put in too much work the day before. If you're going to do a lot of work, you should put it in 2 days, 3 days before. Give yourself some refreshing time to bounce back, and or not to bounce back, but to enter the tournament feeling loose and not sore.
That's a good
Right.
point. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the first thing we want to do is we want to get down there and play the courses and throw as many shots as we can until we get it perfect. And then we'll
Yeah,
probably have a rubber arm when we wake up Saturday morning to play round one.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, other things like I'm not sure. When they come up, I'll let you know though.
No, that's
Yeah.
great. We appreciate it for sure. Well, another one that we wanted to talk about too, Martin, was I've been trying to convince Daryl for 2025 that he and I should head down to our first Worlds, which will be down in Minneapolis, Minnesota area, the Twin Cities. And I'm seeing that this year on your list, you've got the PDGA Masters Worlds coming up as well, but that's out in Emporia. So is this, from what I can tell, is this your first foray into the Masters division?
No, 2022 was my first attempt at a Masters event. I came one stroke away from winning a world championship.
Oh,
Wow.
amazing. We didn't look back. What were we doing, Daryl? Who's doing the research for this show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
it
look
was a
over
fun.
here.
Yeah, it was a crazy moment. It was one of the toughest courses known to disc golf is Northwoods.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So
Northwoods. Yeah.
Northwoods Black, and they had the other course with the water tower,
Right.
Eureka.
Hmm.
So it was a nice battle between me and Joe Revere,
Oh,
and
okay.
went back and forth. That was my first time playing a Masters event, so I was getting some bonus money for being on feature card and lead card. So my goal was just to stay on that lead card, and I never sunk lower than third. And
Nice.
yeah, no, it was fun because, I mean, a lot of it was all filmed, so you could watch it on YouTube.
And we will.
And yeah, I just wish it's hard to say. I mean, it was a good battle. I mean, he's a tough player to beat. He's the guy that would beat up on Eagle McMahon in his hometown.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's
I've
a
heard a lot
veteran in the
about
game.
Joe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then this
Um,
year going down to Worlds, what is your thoughts and your strategy? What are you thinking lead card? Or have you kind of I guess you're always thinking you want to win the tournament, but how just kind of eyeing who's entered in that? What does it look like for you?
it's looking good. I have a lot of experience down in Kansas. They have great courses down there. You've obviously watched the DDO. That
Hmm.
would be that'd be played in that. It's not called Country Club anymore. I think it's called Champions Run or something.
Right.
I could be wrong. I'm
Champions
not sure what
Landing.
the name is. Is that Yeah, Champions Landing?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe it'll be played there. I'm not sure if it's the exact same layout, but they have some other courses there too. Jones East, Jones West, Jones Gold, Peter Pan, and there's a few others. But I think we'll be playing the Jones East course and Champions Landing. So
Okay.
Nice.
I feel pretty good about those. I still have quite a bit of distance and good accuracy. My upshots are good. I think I have a good chance of winning.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely pay attention for that. And if you continue to head to these Masters Worlds, then I just keep giving Daryl so many reasons why we should go down, and then we could go down and see you in person.
Yeah, I'll do some interviews for you guys, and no, it'd be nice to have you guys there. But
Perfect.
yeah, it'd be nice to because the first one I had the second place in the worlds. I think, and last year was fifth. Um, it was 7,000 feet altitude at in Flagstaff, so that was
Right.
something unique and different
Yeah.
that I never got to experience before. And yeah, just I slowly got the hang of that, and I think it's you get accustomed to it after a while. But the first throw when I threw something that was understable and it was heavily stable was a kind of a wake up call on what altitude can do to the discs.
Right. So all your overstable discs, do they just become unusable at that point?
No, you can still use them. Um, they just become a lot more stable.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my discs are kind of, they have a nice glide to them, anyways. And yeah, I think I just had one poor round that kind of set me back there. But I mean, fifth place in the world championship, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm hoping to get. I had a second the first year, fifth, and then I'm hoping to get a first. I think that would be nice to have a title to bring back to Canada.
Oh, it'd be so
Absolutely.
amazing. Yeah, anytime you can be a world champion, what else could you ask for after that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think the regular world championships will be played in Tennessee this year.
Okay.
The normal open one. And then a year after that, I think it's going to be in Europe, I believe. So
Yes, yeah, the
yeah,
pro one is out in Europe. You're right.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's going to be exciting. So definitely everybody pay attention to that one. Now, we touched on a little bit of the professional mindset that you have when it comes to how to play a course. But one of the things, and you've kind of alluded to it here, was when we watched the Park Pro coverage, you got to rank yourself. I believe you guys ranked yourself with a certain amount of points of where you were in your backhand and your power and all of those
okay,
different things. And when they showed that, you did have your forearm low, but your backhand is quite high. So as a player with a good backhand, one of the things Daryl and I are constantly trying to do is that ever elusive straight shot. And as we've watched some coverage of the courses we're playing this weekend, we've got to throw that straight shot through some tunnels. What does awesome backhander like you have as a tip to get that shot through that tunnel?
Um, so this is something that I've thrown naturally that I've developed over the years, and that elusive shot is actually kind of my bread and butter. But using this, like I don't know, I have worked in T-birds,
Lucky
putter shots,
T-bird.
depending on the distance. You want something this one's beadless
Right.
and it has a nice glide. So basically, it's finding a disc that's um, to your standards of the right amount of turn and torque resistance, and I guess it all comes down to your style of shot, right? So I have a bit of a thumb towards the middle, kind of. It puts
Okay.
it. So what that does is it creates a little bit of flight, or sorry, plate leveling, as
Hmm.
well as a little extra grip into the fingertip. So I put a little bit more spin on the disc, which allows for that a little bit of lift, but um, it prevents the disc from. Well, it all depends on the disc stabilities too themselves. There's a lot of different variables that create that, but finding a disc with the right amount of turn and also with your throwing on a kind of a nice flat perpendicular plane, to the ground,
Hmm.
and try not to swoop the disc. And if
Hmm.
you are one of those types of players that swoops, you have to throw something that will turn and level to a flat surface and stay on that flat surface for a while. But what I do is I throw a little bit of nose up and apply enough torque that and the knowledge of the disc. So you got to be create you're like a personal level with that disc to create a yeah it's and it's something I honestly do without. It's hard to explain, really. It's something I just do kind of naturally,
Just comes
and
naturally.
yeah, I know it's. But the funny thing is I go to throw a standard hyzer, and it takes me. It's I like to still throw flat. So what I'll do is I'll tilt at my hips and
Right.
keep the disc at, and then I try not to use too many variables because it creates the more variables, the more chance for mistakes. So what I do is I just I keep my I let the disc do the work. I guess when it
Right.
comes to a hyzer. So when it comes to a straight shot, it's going to be something similar. I'm letting the disc do the work. I throw the disc nice and flat and follow through on that same level of plane, and using a lot of technical things to get my. I think what a lot of players might not do is they like amateurs especially like to keep their eye on the target and not turn their body as much
Hmm.
as they can, right, and extend. I don't know. Like I said, it's a lot of stuff that you kind of do instinctively and not think about it too much. But
Yeah.
me and my sister just did a clinic with the OFSA. Um, we had there was like 21 schools, dropped off 120 kids. I did some clinical stuff, and it gave me some insight onto the things I don't even realize what I do to help people, like keeping your foot planted perpendicularly from the target so you can apply torque and use your hips as well, the whole full body to apply more throws and prevent yourself from pulling off the center line to the right,
Hmm.
and how to get that a lot of torque and the release point exactly where you want, just from um, you know the release and the follow through and timing of all those things put together create a lot of ingredients to get a nice straight shot or a target or what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Daryl, I'm just sitting here trying to soak all the knowledge in. Is what I'm trying to do.
I
Something
wish
that
I
was
could.
coming to my mind was the fact that was saying, or sorry, Martin was trying to say that it's something that comes naturally and it's hard to put it into words. It just epitomizes the old saying, "Those who can do."
Yes. Well, the other one too is that, what a good point that I took out of that, Martin, is that I have maybe a little bit of a natural hyzer to my throw. So I'll throw some
Yeah.
understable disc that'll stand up on it. But we've watched
Yep.
one of our friends, Jason Venekamp, he can throw a nice straight fuse, and we've admired it. At one of our tight tunnel shots with Tasco in hole 3, we've seen him just lace this thing. So then, of course, that's the solution. We just need the same disc he has, but it doesn't
Yeah.
work that way if your throw
No.
isn't that way. So you really do. I like your point there of find the disc that will work to your style of throw. Don't try to change your style of throw to
Yeah.
match a disc, right?
Yep. I mean, there's and the throwing pattern, how you reach back, how you pull through, the plane of the disc as it's going through. I think it's something important too. Is some people do like when you throw a baseball, you do like a little pump fake before you throw.
Hmm.
Same thing with the throw. Some people do a check swing before they throw. This allows you to see that disc momentarily before you release it out of your hands. Gives you an idea of where that disc is going to come through and where the fingertips are going to leave off that rim, and as if that disc is going to. It's kind of like a setting up the ball before you hit it, like in ball golf, right? That little check swing is kind of your setup before you punch through that same spot, and yeah, that's something that not everybody does, but I recommend a check swing, and you see a lot of players do it. Most players do, not all players,
Yeah.
but helps.
Got some good tips, Jeremy.
We
Did
do
you
have
did you
some
get all
good
of that?
tips. I do. That's it. That's where my silence is coming from. I'm like, okay, put that in, put that in. I'll be ready.
Very nice.
Okay, and we'll let you know, Martin. Maybe we'll send you an email or a message after our weekend. We'll first congratulate you on your big win, and then we'll tell you how we did with the tips that you gave us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, we've got, I think, covered most of the questions, but before we move on to one of the staples of our show, was there anything else you had, Daryl, that you wanted to get to?
No, yeah, I think we've covered everything that we had in our notes, and you've been more than generous with your time and your answers and everything like that. So yeah,
Well, it's been a
I don't
pleasure.
have
Thanks for
anything else.
having me out here, and I like your guys' show. This is awesome. I watched a previous show just to see what it was like, just to get a kind of feel for it, and
Perfect.
yeah, it's been fun.
Well, and if
Yeah.
you've got
Well,
that feel for it, you'll probably know what's coming next.
I'm waiting for a segue, Jeremy. You haven't kind of somehow you're going to link this.
My straight segue is just
Just go
roll the
for it.
tape.
Okay. Well, as you said, you've watched our previous episode, so you must know this part of the show.
Now it's time for desert island discs. Picture this. You've taken a relaxing cruise, however the ship goes down. You manage to swim to an island. And fortunately for you, there's an 18-hole disc golf course. Which 3 discs are you taking with you on the island?
So we've had quite a few guests on the show. We've had all sorts of ranging discs that people are bringing with you. We've had all sorts of rules and stipulations of which discs people are bringing with them on the island, on this fictitious island that doesn't exist. But
Okay.
the fact that you're an Innova player, I'm guessing I can pretty much guess which some of the discs that you're going to be bringing with you. So which 3 discs are you bringing?
Okay. Well, this is not like if I need to hunt an animal down, like what I'm going to throw at it.
No. Well, I mean, we did have
If you want it, you can
Yeah.
have it any way you want.
No. If you said like there's a course on the island.
Yes, you bet.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it used to be that pick a putter, a mid range, and a driver. Tim Plamondon blew that out of the water because he throws Firebird, Firefly is the 3 discs that he would bring with him.
Firebird, Firefly. I like that combo.
Yeah.
But yeah, if a standard course, if I wanted to go anywhere and I wanted to, I'd probably cut out the fast driver. I'd probably use a San Marino Aviar.
Okay.
It's got
Okay.
it's got a nice stamp on there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So these are just an older style Star Aviar, and
Okay.
this one I parked the whole one at USDGC with this guy.
Oh,
Nice.
sweet.
And some strong winds too. It's not as stable as it used to be, but this is from a big Canadian Nationals doubles tournament. This is a San Marino DX Rock,
Okay.
and
Nice.
I can so very similar shot to the putter, except a little more distance. And this one I just got recently from a friend, Jeff Langs.
Okay.
And this is approximately just after the CE types of T-birds. This is around 2001. This is something I just added to my bag recently, and it's fantastic. And I putt with this bottom stamped AVR. Sorry, that's one extra.
Yeah,
Your
So
bonus
you're
disc.
you're allowed.
that's a bonus disc. That's
So
like
That's
let's
my
good.
just
putter.
recap. So that
That's a
was a
putter.
San Marino AVR.
Yep, San Marino Rock and a San Marino AVR. One was
Oh,
Star,
rock.
one was
Sorry.
DX.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The AVR is Star plastic. The This is a DX Rocks, which is San Marino mold, and then a T-Bird, which was Champion T-Bird.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's so many different, you know, so many different types of those discs, but you
Hmm.
find what works for you and find out, grip is important
Yeah.
and weather is important, right? So when I find when it rains and then it stops raining, or when it's one of those days, the grip can get extremely tested in the
Right.
sense that you could be obviously you keep your equipment dry, but sometimes you lose your grip. It's like your hand goes dry almost,
Mm.
and I find star plastic can sometimes be your enemy. So you got to have discs that are similar in a different plastic, sometimes to accommodate grip and release and confidence.
Yeah.
Oh,
One thing that I'm curious about ever since it was explained to me about having the same mold, but in different stages of beat in your bag.
Yeah,
You mentioned the T-Bird there. That's one of my favorite discs now, and I actually bagged 3 T-Birds. They're all
yep,
brand new, so they're all relatively fly the same. But I'm trying to get them beat in to try and make the fact. But so it was explained to me that there's a lot to be said for having the same sort of feel of, like you said, the same mold in your hand, so
yeah,
you know how it's going to fly. But because obviously it's got different stages of beat in, it's going to fly differently, but the feel in your hand is going to be the same. Do you
yeah.
bag a few molds or a few different discs of the same mold? Like how many of a certain mold will you have?
Yeah, like for the AVRs, I'll have two or three of them, the
Yeah.
same type of plastic, different stabilities.
Right.
Um, yeah, because I'll have the San Marino AVR, and then I'll have a like a disc. It's a Innova made Discmania P2, and it's a star plastic, a little bit more stable. And then I'll have an AVR X3 for even more stability.
All right.
The T-Birds will have I have the one I just showed you, and
Yeah.
then there's this one here. This is from about 2012, and it's a T-Bird Plus, which means the angle inside here is a little bit angled out, so it releases out of the hands a little bit more um, easier. So
Right.
mm.
one of those discs, if you were to spin it around your hand, it would fall out pretty quick because of the
Yeah.
that slight angle in there, and that has a slight more bit of and for some reason I like glow plastic. Maybe it's there's texture within the plastic helps with grip,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I
it's
did notice the theme with the color of your discs there. Are most of your, either they're glow or yellow? They've got that kind of
well,
colored
I mean, like,
blend to
yeah,
them.
I got some colorful stuff too.
Okay.
Okay.
This is
Yeah.
just the Halo style Wraith Destroyer that's
Yeah.
recently in my bag, and I mean, I could show if I would take you for a little cruise down to the couple basements, I'd show you all the other discs that
Yeah.
a lot of potential good discs there that I just don't have time to go through anymore.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, thank you.
Well, Martin,
No problem.
we don't want to keep you too much longer, but we do ask our listeners if they have any questions for you. Do you want to go through like a little bit of a rapid fire round, like however long
No
you've got the
problem.
time for? But
Yeah,
okay.
if it, yeah, I'm here
Somebody who
for
wanted
the
to give
people.
you a bit of a shout out, John Whitehall. He's in the chat. He
Oh,
said that Marty and his sister Sandy have always been very good to me around the course. So he's glad that we got you on the episode here. But
thanks for watching,
we had
John.
a question. What's that?
Oh, never mind. I was just saying thanks for watching, John.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. We like having him in the chat. A question from Brendan McKinstry. He's the owner of BR Disc Golf here in Camrose in Alberta.
Sure.
Does Martin think he's the best Canadian disc golfer? And what does he think about the ratings of the best Canadians?
Well, Kim Scott Wood's been hiding out in his backyard. He's obviously he's the rating guy right now to win, and um, I'm just glad to be near the top. Uh, it comes and goes. I think honestly, it's kind of an illusion to be the best player. It's honestly it's who's riding that little bit of wave of momentum, who courses vary, days vary, the environment varies. I don't see myself as number one. I see myself as maybe playing at a certain level. Ratings dictate on how you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a tough question. I can't say I'm number one. I
Yeah.
think of myself as a top Canadian player.
I'm sure the question was a little bit tongue in cheek anyway.
Yeah.
Did you want to go for a question, Jeremy? You want me to keep rolling?
No, I've got one here. So we got
Go for
John
it.
has got a few questions. I think he was excited to have you on the show. He was asking that even though you've played a lot of tournaments, how nervous were you when you were playing in the USDGC?
Surprisingly, pretty relaxed. I don't understand. I think it was. I tend to gain more momentum as the season goes on, and I think it's because of our some of the crappy winners that we have. It takes a while to build up steam as you go through the season. Um, when I played in the United States Disc Golf Championship, I for some reason was kind of relaxed. I don't know what it was. I think it was some stuff I was telling myself like don't fear anything, show no fear, and don't fear anything. I think were the key words I told myself. And I've played around some of the best, and it's just a fun game to play. I don't think you can put a label on who's the best, because I think it changes. It changes all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna head back to the chat, and Brendan had another question for you. What's the favorite course you've ever played?
Winthrop
So
University is probably in the top.
Yeah.
Playing the USDGC, that's a fun one. Northwoods Black is great because of the difficulty. Um, London, St. Julian Longs, Toronto Island.
Mm.
Obviously, my home courses. I like my home courses, of course, but I still have to get out west. There's still probably hundreds of courses out there that
Yeah.
make the disc golfer drool over.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, and there's still some courses I still haven't played yet. I think one's called. I know you have one out west called Eagle's Nest, but I think there's one called Eagle's Crossing
Yeah.
out in the States. I don't know if it's Wisconsin. I can't
Mhm.
remember, but I was invited to play to that with by Luke Humphreys, but
Right.
I forget why I didn't go out there. But yeah, no, that's why I love the game, because there's always courses being put up, and
Yeah.
there's still a lot more to play. And yeah, I just love the game.
That's
And it's
awesome.
growing so much. Seems like there's new courses always being created.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait to eventually make my way out west.
Oh yeah, like
That's something.
Casey's been telling everybody they've got to come out to Cranbrook and Casey Hannemeyer to come out and play Wycliffe. So we now have put that one
Yeah.
on our list. He wants every pro to play that course just to see them tear it up or see what they think about it.
Hmm.
All right, we got a couple more questions. I've got Greg Scratchley here. Martin, just watched that roller. Absolutely amazing. What was the
Thank you.
thought process to go roller rather than another shot?
I don't understand why the other guys don't roll. Honestly, it's a low ceiling shot, 460-foot shot. Even Ezra Nicholson, right now, he's one of the best laser beam low shooters, and he's not getting near the basket. So a roller is the only way to get there for a comfortable chance for a birdie. Um, as long as you don't let it get out of the range. I mean, if you know how to throw a roller, it's the way to go for that
Well,
specific hole.
on that note, if you
Yep.
don't mind, Jeremy, I'm just gonna show.
Did you find it?
I
Oh,
found it.
all right. Let's put it
Yeah.
on.
Nice. Nice.
Okay, so give me 1
Awesome.
second. Let me make this bigger here.
Yeah, it looks like there was a roller birdie carded here on 9. Manabu Kajiyama got it with that H7.
And this looks like a better line.
It does have a little bit more
So
cut.
amazing.
It's curling.
Oh, he got it left enough. That's perfect.
It's going back into the
Yes!
bullseye. Are you kidding? Martin Hendel. The shot of the
Oh, I
day.
love
That's
that.
it. We're sealing the deal. That's the OTB shot of the day.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff, Martin.
Thanks for finding. Thanks
Yeah,
for finding
no
that, Daryl.
worries. Yeah, it's good. We try and do our research. Sorry, we didn't have it already pulled up, but we can do these things on the fly.
He's
No
our tech
problem.
genius. He does it again. All right, Martin, I've got another one here. Last one, I think, unless Daryl has any. I've got John Whitehall. Did Malton ever give you putting lessons? And are you still playing with and showing the ropes to Cooper?
Cooper. Oh, Cooper. No, Jeff never really gave me putting lessons. It was more mental game, structured kind of ideas on how to. I mean, the putting itself it's kind of personal, and more putting insight into when if you go to make a putt and it's for a birdie or if it's for bogey or if it's for a par or double bogey, whatever it is, that should be honestly just be a putt, and that's it. You should make that putt as best as you can, whether it's for anything. And another that brings me to another tip on for amateurs is to, and no, and just for anybody really in general, is when you practice or play to put in time. Or I mean, sorry, to go through and play as if you're in a big tournament. If you do that in practice, and when it comes to a tournament, you're not going to change anything. You're going to just do what you do. So
Yeah.
that's a huge tip that's helped me, and you know, I learned that from actually a local pro named Brandon Dobson.
Okay.
Right.
That's a
such
good
a
tip.
good. Yeah, I was just gonna say that's such a good tip because, yeah, I know quite a few times when we've been out on a practice round.
Yep.
If we don't make that shot or we throw
Yeah.
a bad shot, it's like whatever. It's just a practice round. But yeah, have that
Exactly.
mentality of no, this is how you want to play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, perfect. Did you
Absolutely.
have any more questions, Daryl, in there? Or
We did have one more question, but sorry, I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole here
all right.
because while looking for the roller, and we mentioned it earlier about the USDGC. Obviously, everybody can remember, or everyone will recognize this hole
Oh
with
yes,
the
yes.
bamboo. So this was entitled Martin Hendel shows how to putt or something like that. It's right around the
Nice.
bamboo. So I just saw that putt and I thought, yeah, that was a good highlight that I had to show as well.
Yeah, paused on me there.
Oh,
Oh,
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
did you get it? Did everybody see it? Here we go.
Now
We'll watch it
I get it
on.
with the smaller screen. Yeah, with the
There you go.
smaller screen there. There we go. Yeah.
yeah.
So that funny moment there was I threw a beautiful 10 time it was a Casey rock, and it bounced off the bamboo and shot back like 40 feet. It felt like a 75, 80 foot putt,
Hmm.
and I couldn't even see the basket. And I'm playing with I believe it's Paul Macbeth, Chris Dickerson, and I can't remember the fourth. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I hit that putt, and nobody else hit their putt after that, and they were all
Wow.
closer than I was. But
Yeah.
So you big putted him.
that was it. Yes, I big putted
Absolutely.
some big players there.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, that was awesome. It's such a good feeling to have a couple thousand spectators on that card. They sold over 10,000 tickets. I don't know if it was 25,000 tickets at $10 or 10,000 tickets at $25.
All
Either
right.
way, there was a massive gallery, and people even congratulated me on that big putt after the round. And I actually thought I was going to win that thing, but Paul Macbeth came to me and said one thing. He goes, you know what, the crowd's not really respecting you. He goes, if you want, I'll putt first. I'll let you putt after because it looks like it might be me and you battling at the end here, and
Wow.
that might have been a work job. I'm not sure if it was or not.
You thought he acted like he was giving you some
He
help,
had
but
the mind
maybe not.
games.
Yeah, he was being friendly, but I think he was. I think he was up to no good there.
Well, there you go.
Oh, the
That's a
only other thing that I had, Jeremy, was lots of love for Martin in the chat. Alan Chevrier just wanted to thank Martin for his support of OFSAA disc golf. Students love watching his YouTube coverage. Caught some students in my class today watching last year's Foxwood Open. So, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, you're teaching them young and old.
Yes, I had 2 classes. It was fantastic. And now next time I do the class, I'll make sure that I organize them so there was about 10 close hits. I honestly, it was a, you know, there's a lot of close people getting hit. So I got to make sure I organize the kids better so that nobody gets injured.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, well,
Yeah.
Martin, this time is for real now. We want to thank you
Yep.
for being on the show, but before we let you go, it's now your time. Is there anything that you wanted to shout out or say there that we didn't cover just before we let you go?
Um, no, I just want to thank you guys, Daryl and Jeremy, for having
Thank
me
you.
here. No, just thank my family, Innova, for
Yeah.
supporting me, and hopefully we can do some more of these
All right.
in
Sounds
in the
good.
future.
Okay,
Yeah, I
awesome.
wish
Well,
the best
good.
for you guys' show.
We'll
Yeah, and
hold you
good
to
luck
that.
at Foxwood. We can't wait to see how you do, and we know you're going to do well.
Thanks. This is my first podcast, by the way. It's been a
Oh,
pleasure.
awesome.
Oh, you nailed it.
How have you
Thanks,
been
man.
in this disc golf this long, and this is your first podcast?
I don't know. I just avoid this. Like, no, I don't
Well,
avoid it. I do it when I'm told to do it, or not when I'm told to do it, but when it comes up.
Well, you
oh,
know what? I think
perfect.
it's going to come up a lot more often now. So,
Yeah, well, it's good to see the game grow, and after teaching those kids and seeing how much need and want for the sport and the growth of the sport, seeing it in schools now. I know it's in a lot in colleges in the states, but just to see the growth of sport grow exponentially is awesome.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much, Martin. We appreciated having you on.
Not a problem. You guys have a good night.
you
Awesome.
too.
Thanks. You too.
All right, take care.
Daryl, you did your deep breath. What do you got to say next?
I mean, I can imagine it in years to come. I mean, this is a little bit self-obsessed as well, but can you imagine in years to come? Remember Martin Hendel? He used to be that, or he still is that, amazing MPO. Do you remember when he did his first interview on a podcast? It was on that Chain Out podcast. I remember they did that first interview. Well, no, maybe
Yeah.
not first interview. I've
Do you
been
remember
saving
when?
it. Sorry, I'm having another beer.
Go ahead. Yeah. You know when Martin won Christie Lake Spring Fling that year, then went on to do Foxwood, then maybe went on to Worlds.
Yeah.
Remember that year? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He
Maybe it
talked
was
to
that
those
year.
Chain Out guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it was
No,
fantastic.
I mean, as much as we appreciate having people on the podcast like Brendan talking about what it means to design courses and own a disc golf store and things like that, and talking to local amateurs, local pros, it's when we interview people like Casey, like Ben, and like Martin, it just takes it to that next level, and Colleen, and everyone that
We
we've
just
had.
go through so many people.
So
Yeah.
many people. Yeah, it's hard to remember all the people that we've had on, but just getting into a different mindset and the way that they explain things and they see things in a different way. Like I said about talking about OB, my answer, we ask a question, we kind of think how they're going to answer it. His answer was nothing like
I
what I
love
thought.
OB.
Yeah, I thought everybody would hate OB because it makes it harder, or
Yeah.
and especially with artificial or forced OB for no reason, just to design a course. Well, why not just play it in a football stadium and just paint lines and say that's the course now? But obviously, transferring that to a ball golf course, you have to have OB in certain areas, and it just seems like that totally wasn't the answer that I was I was expecting. But again, that's why we love doing these interviews, is because we're always surprised and we gain so much knowledge from having these interviews. So yeah,
Definitely. So
yeah,
cheers and thanks to Martin for being on the show.
thank you very much, Martin, and overwhelming support in the chat as well. Everybody seems to be liking these interviews that we're doing. So
Well, and I guess that's a good point for us to say, as always, if you like the content that we're putting out there, do us a favor if you can and subscribe to the show. It certainly helps us out. The more subscribers we have, the more support we have when we go to get these guests
Yeah.
to come on. Everybody's been so gracious with their time. And yeah, subscribe, follow, do all those wonderful things with our socials. And we appreciate it when you do.
And one thing that we haven't said, and I was thinking of this today, is also, if you like the guests that we have on the podcast, don't be shy about going to their socials
Mhm.
and saying that how much you enjoyed them when they were on, Chain Out podcast, because then you're showing them love, you're giving them the comments, and you're letting them know that what they did was a good thing, and then also hopefully it spreads the word that people actually like seeing a couple of old amateurs interview these people.
Yeah, well, and Daryl, the other thing about that is the nice thing about disc golf right now is, and especially Canadian disc golf, is that our players are still very accessible. You can go and see them at a tournament, and you can go up and shake their hand and get your disc signed and do those things. So definitely on their socials, if you drop them a message or send them a DM or something like that, they're likely going to see it at that point, and they're going to
Yeah.
appreciate that support because, as much as we all are supporting them, it's nice to put that right out to them. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Sometimes I have them.
You have lots of good points. Once in a while, you have your opinion, but it's wrong too. But I leave that to you.
You don't
That's
have
your
the
thing.
button. I have
No,
the
that's
button.
right.
You only get to do it when you're in person.
Yes, that's right. We'll have to do another one of those sometime soon. So let's kind of wrap up the episode here.
Yeah.
And the one thing we like to do is we like to talk about our Canadian pros that are on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Chantal Badinsky, Thomas Gilbert, Max Rajitnik. But there wasn't a lot going on with them. They were kind of back in Canada. I do know that Max was down in Colorado playing, and he was playing on a mountain course. We had some interactions with him back and forth on Instagram, and he was saying that, yeah, he had to relearn his discs because they changed with the elevation. I think it was at 3,000 feet.
Yeah.
So that was a kind of like what Martin was alluding to in the episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Max even almost had an ace. There was a shot. It was like he had a little clip. There's like, how didn't that go in? And when you watch it, it was so close.
Right.
It was like from an elevated tee pad across the valley to the side of a cliff almost was where the basket was. It was fantastic. But who I really wanted to talk about was Sophia Danek, because did I do all right that time? Danek. Daneki? We'll get it right one of these times, but I think it'll be when we get a chance to talk to her. But we're going to say Sophia Daneki.
Danek.
Yes, yeah, we'll get it right. And we apologize, Sophia, if you do happen to catch this, because really what we want to focus on is how amazing you did representing Canada down at the Las Vegas Challenge this past weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all 3 rounds she was on lead card. If you didn't have a chance to watch it, it was on Gatekeeper Media. The Las Vegas Challenge, like you said, and maybe like Martin was alluding to about when he was down at the American Flying Disc Open, that the card wasn't stacked as it could have been. Sophia had Katrina Allen on her card down there. Lisa Fakis was down there. Lucky Lawrenson was down there as well.
Yeah.
Quite a few high-level FPO players that she was challenging, and not only challenging, was beating them as well.
Yeah, and so there is coverage because I believe it was Gatekeeper Media who covered it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you can go back and check it out. But kind of a quick summary from our point of view of what we saw was that she's first after day 1. She's first after day 2.
Yeah.
And she's first after day 3. So she took 3 rounds in a row going into the 4th day. If it was a 3-round tournament, done. She won it.
Done. Yeah.
But then she goes into the 4th round, and I can't even imagine the pressure the first time you're in a situation like that with these other pros on your card, with the cameras, knowing that this could be this huge win for you, and your really first big win on the big stage. But she did her best, and she was kind of by the end of the 9 holes, Lucky ended up having a 4-stroke lead, so she ended up getting ahead of her. And Sophia started to close that gap and got within 2 strokes, but that's where it ended. And she did get a second. And man, I don't know what else to say, but I'm just so proud that one of our Canadians went down there and tore it up like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you say, she ended up with second, but she ended up with second, on the Pro Tour at an event like that against strong competition. So, I mean, she didn't get the win, but she held the lead for 3 days, 4th round, like you said, 2 strokes. So much to be proud of. And absolutely, like you said, I'm so proud of her as well. It's a double-edged sword because we follow her on Instagram and we see all these posts from everybody else, and Innova obviously promoting one of their players.
Yeah.
And so many people reposting that with positive comments and let's go, Sophia, you can do this, you got this. And I a part of me is in the back of my mind is thinking, okay, let's don't put the pressure on, because I can imagine that the more people that she sees as watching, and the Canada's getting behind her, that like it just builds up that pressure for her to do well day after day. But yeah, I mean, obviously you want to show your support as well. So
Well, and the thing is the one thing about us as Canadians in that is that first place, second place, we're proud of her and all that she's done. So,
oh yeah,
and we're not going to be the first ones to say it, but we're going to mark it too on this day as well, is that next FPO, Canadian FPO, touring on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, it's got to be Sophia. How could it not be?
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
Jeremy's take.
So when I get out to Worlds, or not Worlds, I'm not getting out to Worlds yet. That's next
Nationals.
year. When I get out to Nationals in Clearwater, I'll say, all the Edmontonians here, start giving me your discs, your Innova discs that you want signed. I'll see if I can get a solid half hour and 3 markers for Sophia to sign everything for us.
Yeah, she'd do that for us, right?
I don't know if
Or
she'd
for
do
you.
that for us, but we'll see. Well, Daryl, gets us to the end of another show. I don't think we had any questions from the listeners for us, but
yeah, we can just give a quick shout out now. Does anybody have any questions for us? We have a lot of new subscribers, a lot of you new viewers today.
thank you for
thanks to
that.
Martin. But yeah, if anybody has any questions for us, throw them in the chat. If not, we need to get a secret word.
Yeah.
Because don't forget, people that are already leaving, we do have a secret word that we like to throw out at the end of the episode, so that we thank everybody for tuning in to the end. And then what we ask is that if you leave a comment on this video, put the word in a sentence so that people don't just realize that that's what the secret word is. Otherwise, it's just one word in the comments.
And what we'll tell you here now is that Daryl and I, when we were getting ready to get close to 100 subscribers, we did a giveaway. And we're preparing all of the prizes that we've gathered for our next giveaway. So if you guys can take this secret word, put it in the comments, we're going to start slowly revealing over the next episode some of the prizes that we've got set up for that next giveaway, and kind of tease that out to you. But we want to see some of those comments in there. So Daryl, have you thought of a secret word? Because usually I've got one on the top of my head, just like my Desert Island segue, but I've got a couple ideas. But what are you thinking?
No, I've got a few phrases or a few words, but nothing that really is like the words that we've had in the past have always been standout words that, have nothing. They're not just I was thinking 460 roller.
Well, yeah. And I was thinking roller of the year.
Roller of the year. That could work.
Best roller ever. It's got to be something with the roller.
Yeah. Straight. Someone said hallway, straight shot. Trevor, rusted metal slip knot. That was an old one. We've had that one before. Yes. Yeah, you don't have to repeat the old ones. That's what you should have said on a previous post.
Yes.
Put it in the comments after this video, Trevor. Beard wax? No, that's an old one.
All right.
Roller derby?
Oh, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah, Brendan's being.
I like that because you can kind of have some fun with that one. It's roller, so it's tied to the show. Yeah. Derby, roller derby, you can do a few different things with it. So my vote is for roller derby. What do you say?
Roller derby's getting another vote in the chat. So we're going with roller derby.
I love it. Okay, let's use that one in there.
Drop a comment. Put roller derby in a sentence so that nobody knows exactly why you're putting roller derby in the chat, in the comment section, but we appreciate it. Roller derby is the word of the day.
And now we're going to head ourselves down, get ready after this episode. We're going to start packing, get ready for the weekend.
I just have one question.
Sure.
Anybody who's left in the chat, put a thumbs up if you're going in, or put a thumbs up if you're excited, but also put a thumbs up if you're heading down to Lethbridge this weekend as part of Spring Runoff. I'll start off. 2 thumbs up here.
That's right.
Anybody? I know Kristen's in the chat, so I know we're getting at least one more thumbs up.
That's right. And when we get those thumbs up, that's because we're heading down to Spring Runoff. We're going to get down to Aperture Park. We're going to find this tight tunnel. We're going to take some time visioning that hole, practicing it the day before, doing that little check shot on it, using the disc that's best for our hand,
Yeah.
putting
one
our
second. Keep
thumb in
going.
the center, and the two of us are going to practice that over and over again, but not too much because we really don't want to tire out our arms. And as we do that, we're going to line up for that straight hallway shot. We're going to throw that disc straight down the middle. Daryl's going to throw a T-bird, another T-bird, and maybe a third T-bird. And it's going to go straight down that hallway, straight down that tunnel. It's going to get to the basket, Daryl.
Yeah.
It's going to hit the chains. It's going to go right in, maybe even hit the pole. I've heard those baskets can be a little nasty down there. But the
Right.
one thing that disc is not going to do, there's no way. It could
no
never.
way. It's a T-bird. It would never.
It's never going to.
Chain
Chain out! All right, guys, pay attention for the live feeds over the weekend. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, I didn't play the outro music. Just